book.
What was that?
It's Chicka Chicka Boom Boom.
Yeah,
If
Chicka
you're a
Chicka
parent,
Chicka
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 Boom
Boom
Boom.
Boom's great.
Can you do it all again,
Everyone
please,
likes
for the
Chicka Chicka
YouTube
Boom Boom.
audience?
A told B and B told C, I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree. Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. Will that be enough from... What's after
My
C?
kids know it. I don't know it.
Look who's coming. D-E-F and G. I
Oh,
need the
it
book.
was flowing so well.
I know
before we
I'm
came
nervous because, and I don't have the rights to rap Chicka Chicka Boom Boom.
On. Wow.
You don't need the
Great
rights.
book.
Bars.
Great book.
Bars.
We finally got, someone gave us a version of Goodnight Moon, but it's Bonsoir Lune. And I'm learning my French. And it's like this, it's the same but different.
Have you ever read the Samuel L. Jackson, the Go the F to Sleep? I think it's Sam Jackson, right?
I think someone
I know
else
what you're
wrote
talking
it. Maybe
about.
he
Yeah,
did the
yeah.
audio
I know
book
what you're
version.
talking
But
about.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah,
more of an adult joke book.
You should read that to Remy.
There's a book I got from a friend. I don't even want to say it.
Oh gosh.
It's about this girl's. I can't say it on air. Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm not going there.
Oh, now we're all
Anyway,
left out of the
nope,
joke.
Google it.
Did you know that Target has like a naughty section for kids books?
What?
But they're for adults, right?
No,
Like-
no, they're for kids. Like there's like a poop one, diarrhea
Oh,
one. Like
that's
kids.
not okay.
That kind of naughty. Not
I was
like,
thinking there was like a back room.
like 50
Guys.
Shades of Grey naughty.
Guys, no. What?
Naughty. You used the word naughty wrong.
Yeah. You should have said like gross out.
Gross books.
Yeah. When I think naughty, I think, I go to
X-rated.
the naughty place, Love a good naughty place.
All right, that wasn't on our list
Yeah,
to talk
what are we
about.
talking
Okay, we have an update. We told this story this morning on Sunrise about this, I don't know what community, in Michigan, the Mason Jar Cafe, a customer had a $32 bill and he left 10 grand as the tip, right to this one server. So of course,
That's crazy.
They had, like, anytime we saw big tips, which I never got anything like that, but we had to go ask them, like, was this an accident? Have you been drinking all night? Like, and
No.
it wasn't. He was in town for a funeral and he just felt like being generous.
Yeah, he said he was honoring his late friend and he just, he wanted to give, which
Obviously
is super
very
cool.
wealthy.
Yeah,
which
like
is
you can
great.
just drop that much money is a lovely thing to do.
You know, I always kind of wonder. So like $10,000, someone like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk it's just
That's a
doesn't-
drop in the
It's like a
bucket.
buck.
That's like
No, it's
a
way
buck
less
for
than a
us.
buck,
Yeah.
right? It's nothing. It's literally nothing.
But to the serving staff there, so here's the little caveat. So he told the server and the manager, like, share it amongst everyone here, like, have a good life, see ya, which turned out to be like $1,100 or $1,200 per
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, it's great.
But apparently, here's the update: the girl was fired.
Yeah, so the one who received the tip initially, the $10,000 tip, she was fired. And some social media posts alluded to a wave of toxicity among the wait staff in the wake of this
big
gigantic tip. Now, the co-owner says
Oh.
that she was limited in what she could say, but she said it has nothing to do with the tip or the aftermath or the fallout of what happened after the tip. But
She also worked there for 6 years.
Yes.
So now there's all these like conspiracy theories.
she also has a family, from what I saw, and kids, and she like took a road trip to get away, and she's
All right.
devastated.
This
All
is
right,
my
so
speculation.
this is
As a
tough.
former server at the Green Mill up in Cloudtown for 4 years, all of our tips were for ourselves.
Yes.
You tip out your bartender, and you can leave a tip for the cook staff if you want or whatever. And that was it. You got to take home. So and maybe this establishment, you always get to keep your tips. So maybe she made a comment like, technically this is my 10 grand. And I don't want, maybe she didn't want to share it, and that's where the bickersome began.
Even though the person that gave her the tip said, share among your coworkers, please. This is not just for you. Please share with everybody else. And she agreed to that, I'm assuming.
Right, because
Yeah.
if it was a $20 tip, she'd be like, sweet, I'm keeping it. Like, it's still big when on a
Right.
$30 tab. That's huge, and then you keep it. You don't share it amongst. So I can see maybe she made an offhand comment amongst the staff. And
I
they were
will
like,
tell you, money is.
You get greedy.
People are very greedy, and they
Yes.
forget very quickly. You immediately, like if I get $1,000, you immediately, the emotion of getting the. So I'm going to go back to an example of winning at the casino. I've won $10,000 at the casino, right? And that moment was like, holy crap! I just won 10 grand. Not more than an hour later have I digested that 10 grand, and it was already, that excitement was dead to me. And I was already just like, what am I doing with this? And I was so selfishly focused on it, not realizing that I just had this wonderful gift. Does that make sense? I became greedy. Then we were arguing about what we were going to buy with the 10 grand.
As a group?
It was just the family.
Oh, you and your wife.
Yeah, like I wanted to pay off a credit card and she wanted to buy something, and I don't know what it was, but I remember that moment and I realized that positive emotion is always destroyed 10-1 by the negative emotion. So you just gotta, it's kind of sad in that way, but does that make, you know what I'm saying? Like they all got a grand and then they're like,
I want more.
Yeah, it's just like angry and
I'm thinking
I
though,
don't know,
like,
how do
I
you
don't
do
know
that then? Do you give
how-
it to one person?
Well, if the guy didn't say, and they normally like base it on like, hey, we all get our own take-home tips, like the normal rules. But had he not said like, hey, split this, then it's no question you split it. That was his wishes with his money. But she can obviously throw up a stink. We never split tips like this until now. I get 10 grand. I'm sure, and it's funny because the management's like, no,
my
you're
gosh.
fired, which I feel like is weird too. There must be some
There's
It
some
must have been
reasonable
causing,
firing.
It must have been causing. I know they're saying it had nothing to do with the tip, but I feel like it had something to do with the tip. It must have
no,
been
like-
causing toxicity, as mentioned
That-
on social media among the staff, where they can't work together as long as this is lingering over the entire operation of the restaurant.
Well, and maybe
they
it
had
was
to get
only
rid of
horrible
so,
thing.
like they split it among 9 people. Maybe there was like, what if it was the kitchen staff didn't get in on that? It was
Yeah.
just the
I
serving
can
staff.
guarantee,
Like there has to be like it wasn't split amongst more people who work there, like the host or.
Well, I'm sure the kitchen staff were just upset.
Okay.
Split 9
weird.
ways. I
That
mean,
is such a sad thing.
yeah.
Yeah, if someone was like, yeah, split this among everyone, I'm like, sweet,
Okay.
everyone, we're rich, let's go out party. Like my staff at the mill, we like partied after work and we were like a family.
Everybody
Yeah.
should
So,
have
like,
got a
it's
cut.
weird.
Have you seen the movie Waiting?
Yes, some of that stuff's true. It's gross.
Oh yeah.
Not at the
Have
Green
you seen
Mill
that
on St.
movie?
Cloud.
That is a must-watch.
No,
movie.
I've never seen it.
It
No.
makes you
Hilarious.
like. That's if you ever worked in the serving industry, you be like I'm always super generous with my tips. I'm clean. Like Remy makes a mess on the table, I'm picking up like mac and cheese off the
I-
carpet because
Yeah.
families would come. I had a family
take my kids
dine
out.
out and dash. They ate it and then they ditched.
with their-
Dine
and I
and
had to pay
dash.
dine and dash with their whole family. It was a huge bill. They ordered all these apps, and my boss was like, "You have to pay for that."
No,
Yeah, because I'm responsible for my tables.
I don't. That's not.
But it's like
cool.
I'm not gonna wrestle
Nope,
down. You
that's
don't
not
picture
cool.
like a family stealing from. I have a
There's-
lot of stories.
That's
from
not cool.
Can we run a
serving.
story on that? Because that upsets me. You're
lot of
talking about
companies-
somebody who's struggling as a waiter or waitress, and they're going to have to be responsible for a $200 bill.
Yeah, I think they gave me like a discount.
A discount. The company is worth millions, and they're going to make you pay.
It
That's
wasn't a
messed
set
up.
it, between
Is that
that
not
and my
messed up? That's
quarters
messed
in the
up.
water cup.
That's messed up. I
Yeah.
don't like. I'm never going
That's
to Green
not your
Mill in
fault.
St.
no,
Cloud.
don't. It's not.
I'm sorry. I don't like that.
And maybe
I'm
it was
out.
just the management at the time, but
I don't. Wait. My guy. The person I work for, I think, was the owner of that. The Pac Walk owner owned Green Mill. I'm almost positive.
oh, interesting.
We worked for the same owner.
Well, that was when I was new too. When I was, yeah, no, they were like family after. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just one of the rules.
I mean, be nice to your waiters and waitresses. That's one of the lessons to be
And
taken.
be
Listen,
generous
I have
as
never-
a
Be generous with your tips.
yeah.
I have never I'm like, it's a hard job. To be just like someone's, whoosh, like,
Yeah.
come on. It's hard.
I had
It's hard.
many
People are
moments where I would
rude
go
and-
hide and like it was just like the stress, the rudeness of customers, like oh.
Yes,
I just be like,
that's-
"Ugh." So
oh,
my boss
I-
saw me crying once, let me go in the back of the mill, and he let me chuck a plate at the wall.
That
It
is
like
awesome.
weirdly helped. I was
That's
like, it
like
like
waiting.
weirdly made me laugh, and I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. And he's like, throw it at the wall, and I was like, psh.
There were many Saturdays, I know it's a different industry, but there were many Saturdays working at Chuck E. Cheese's where I would go in the merchandise supply closet and just break down.
You're just crying
Because
in the
it was so-
Sir Chuck E. Cheese.
Take off the hat and just start breaking down.
Oh,
Because Saturdays were so hard at Chuck
yeah,
E.
I'm
Cheese's.
sure.
The
Screaming
place was
children.
packed, screaming children. And I was a cashier at the same time, so I had to deal with that and then put on the suit. And it was just, there were days where I would go in that closet and I would just break down into tears. It was hard.
We all have these.
I was a waiter too. I feel like everybody needs to work in some type of customer service thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
It's
agree.
good to-
So you
realize.
understand what it's like.
Yeah.
You can humble yourself. There's two terrible things about it. One, you lose faith in humanity. I think every waiter or waitress loses faith in humanity. That's kind of the theme of what we talk about when I'm with my friends.
Yeah.
You just start
some point,
and you start
yeah.
judging people unfairly, and it's not, that part's not healthy. But I think it's good to it's good to deal with like
Right.
people because you deal with people like that. I think if you can humble yourself as a waiter or waitress, it's like the greatest, like what a humbling thing. Like people are being extremely rude to you all day long, and you can just keep it going. Like that's quite
Yeah.
an
It's a
honor.
reflection of society.
Yeah,
That's
you know
how
what I'm saying?
That's how the world is.
But anyways, with all that being said, and I'm sure you're the same way, and you at Chuck E. Cheese, and I worked at Pack Walk for like 6 years. I tip hardcore now.
Right.
Because I'm like, you're gonna get 9 other 10% tips or get stiff, so I'm not gonna be that person.
Growing up, my dad was not a tipper, and that always drove me crazy. I know he's not watching this morning, so I'm calling you out, Dad. He
There's different
tipped.
cultures, though, right?
That's true, and he grew up in Jamaica, and I guess that's something he wasn't used to when he came here to the States, and so he would always be like, "Oh, well, we don't need to. They get enough from the restaurant already. Why do we have to tip?" And I was, no, Dad, you got to tip them. They're barely making anything. They're barely making
Yeah.
minimum wage in some
Right.
Like
places.
in Wisconsin, it's still very low minimum wage.
It's like $5
It's
or
silly.
something.
So you do earn tip money. That's like your main income.
That is interesting. Yeah, because
Crazy.
in America, we're like the only country who does that, where we'll just like low pay you and expect the people to pay
to pick it up.
tips. That's an interesting concept.
Crazy.
Like I don't think I'm assuming we're the only culture that does that.
I think Canada maybe too, tipping. Well, I was in Scotland. It was so weird. I still tipped even though you didn't have like it wasn't expected. Some cultures think it's rude.
To
'Cause-
tip?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. That's what I read. But I was
Interesting.
shocked when I was in Scotland. I'm like, I got a tip. I got a tip.
I can tell you when I look at the 15 grand at the end of the year on Nicole's pay stubs from tipping, I don't think it's rude.
It's good she marks it.
Well, yeah. Not trying to be a crimmy here.
Right. All right. What else are we talking about?
So Target, really quick, they're launching a new in-house low-cost brand. So it's called Dealworthy. Hundreds of items, most of them under $10. All of this as they try to bounce back from slumping sales that they've had over 2 straight quarters here. But this is different than the Good and Gather.
You know what's funny? It's
it
probably
cheaper?
not different. I did a story with Kraft and Flavor. It's the same. Some companies, they just want all the pieces of the pie. So I forget, like it was the mac and cheese company. I don't remember. I don't think it was Kraft. It was in Illinois. Maybe it was Kraft. But anyway, some companies are trying to get all the pieces. They'll just put mac and cheese in a different box, slap a different logo. I wonder if you open up a lot of those deal-worthy items and compare them to Market Pantry or whatever,
or
Up
Good
and
and
Up.
Gather, yeah.
You can't tell.
You'll be like, this is the same. They're
same
just
thing.
packaging it differently and lowering the
Yeah.
price on this item. Some people are
Right.
like, I love this brand. I'm going to stick with that.
Well,
You're
you're
getting
just-
all
you're-
the pieces
well,
of
you're
the
just
pie.
you're just paying for the advertising. That's all you're doing.
Right.
That's all it is. But it is some are better.
Yes.
I mean, they're
Anyhow.
trying to steal Walmart's thing because if you look at Walmart during recessions, it goes higher. The stock
And
price.
Walmart's just
Stock price of
cheap.
Walmart. Yes, Walmart
Yeah.
dominates because it dominates in a recession. It's one of the only companies that gets invested heavily in the worst recession.
it's recession-proof.
Because
thing?
because of their brand. People buy. They barely. If you look at if you go to Walmart, their brand is everywhere.
Everywhere.
They don't even let you touch a Doritos bag. They're like, it's gonna be 90 cents for you to buy this off-brand Doritos. And you're like, right.
I worked at the Subway and Walmart up in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And let me tell you, when I was in the Subway early before like the store opened, all the fresh there's like birds. There's birds because the people open the doors all the time. You don't realize there's like actual birds in these stores. I would watch because it was like the Subway and then it was like the grocery part. There was just birds eating the fruit.
Just eating
I'm like,
tomatoes. And
Oh, really?
if you ever find a
Check
hole in a tomato.
your fruit. Like, well, you're supposed to look at your fruit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You don't just throw it in the bag. You examine
yeah, you
it.
examine.
Yeah.
Because yes, the birds were like, it's a
I
free
have
for
seen
all.
birds flying in Walmart, so that makes sense. You
Just
never
check
see
your fruit
birds in
and
Target.
check for bird poop on said clothing.
Never see birds in Target.
I think I actually have seen a bird because you know my fear is birds.
Yes.
I saw one in Target and I started
Wait,
running,
your
and my
fear
husband.
is birds.
My biggest fear is birds.
You're
I
telling
hate
me
when
if a
they-
snake is sitting here and a bird, you're gonna be scared of the bird.
Yes, both really. to be
Horses
honest.
scare me.
Okay.
What?
I went horseback riding once. I was like, nah, this animal's too massive.
I got booked off a horse.
So what's
His
wrong
name
with
was Dan. I see you, Dan.
Dan is dead.
He's watching this
He
morning.
might be. It was my cousin's horse. Okay. It was terrifying. Never rode a horse again.
I'm
I
terrified.
told you, I'm terrified of horse. Go
I'm
ahead.
terrified of spiders. So
Yeah, I don't
which
like
is
spiders.
normal.
He's terrified. You're terrified of box elder. Anything.
Box
Anything
elders.
with wings and multiple legs.
And that's every single bug in the history of the world.
Exactly. They're all horrible and terrifying, and I hate all of them.
Okay.
And they should all die.
Yep.
We need them though.
Do we?
Helps our planet.
We don't need mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are a pointless invention.
Is that
I don't
true?
know why those were created.
I don't understand. The parasites I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we put up the 7?
I have no. What are we even talking
We went down
about?
the hole again. What's wrong with
Well,
us?
rather-
Happy Friday.
Steer ourselves back.
All right, 20, 31, 37. We climb out of the hole. What do you think of that?
Ah.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever done a real transition without saying it, and I just said it. Dang
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
All right,
You gotta let
middle
it breathe,
40.
man.
Yeah, middle 40s by Tuesday as we melt the snow.
I love how we started the segment about poo-poo books for children and ended it with our fears.
We have
Birds.
no idea where this thing's going.
No.
It's like a runaway train every time.
Enjoy the snow.